Buenos días, Argentina. Buen día a todos los países hispanoparlantes y buenas noches, India. Hoy aquí Silvia Chediek desde Buenos Aires, Argentina, con una experiencia increíble para compartir con todos ustedes. Estamos acá abriéndonos de corazón a corazón para realmente disfrutar en este espacio sagrado y seguro la presencia de una divinidad encarnada, así como lo escuchan. Estoy muy feliz de esta oportunidad, sobre todo porque justamente una de las cuestiones más importantes es haber sido honrada con esta invitación. Y eso se lo quiero agradecer a mi querida amiga Alicia Gorbato, quien es la coordinadora en español para quien hoy voy a estar entrevistando, esta divinidad encarnada que en 2 minutos se las presento. Y Alicia tiene una cuenta sumamente interesante, profunda y espiritual. Síganla en Despertares con Alicia. Bueno, como les digo, acá yo estoy honrada y bendecida de estar presentando a una líder espiritual internacional. Su nombre es Sadhvijii, Bhagavati Saraswati, Sadhvijii para todos. Ella es oradora, speaker y escritora de varios libros y ha compartido escenarios con las personalidades más increíbles del mundo espiritual, como por ejemplo el Dalai Lama. Y se dedica desde entonces al bienestar espiritual y social. Una pequeña reseña de quién es Sadhvijii, porque justamente el mercado hispano no está demasiado adentrado, más allá que ella tiene millones de seguidores y fieles que siguen sus palabras y su sabiduría. Sadhvijii nació en Estados Unidos, en Los Ángeles, y se formó como psicóloga en la Universidad de Stanford. Un día, en el 1996, a sus 28 años, decide ir a India y ahí tiene una experiencia reveladora, profunda, mística, transformadora. Una experiencia que ha sido lo que cambió su vida desde entonces y se ha dedicado al descubrimiento espiritual y a transmitir la palabra desde su sabiduría divina para todos los que estamos en el camino del despertar de conciencia y trabajar para que la humanidad logre este gran salto cuántico que todos tanto deseamos. Una breve reseña, como les digo, de ella también tiene que ver con el libro que ella escribió y con el trabajo social que ella hace, porque tiene varias escuelas en India donde se dedica especialmente al trabajo con los niños, a proteger y educar a los niños en esas escuelas. Dentro del libro, uno de los libros más famosos que ella escribió se llama From Hollywood to Himalayas, de Hollywood a los Himalayas, en donde ella cuenta con mucha sabiduría, honestidad, claridad y compasión que la caracterizan, todo su periplo de Estados Unidos a India y cómo eso transformó su vida, y justamente compartirlo con todos nosotros es prácticamente su misión, en donde está haciendo una tarea increíble, como digo, para el despertar de conciencia de toda la humanidad, diciendo y buscando que todos descubramos, como lo hizo ella, al Dios que nos habita, diciendo que somos amor en expansión, perfección y encarnación de la divinidad. Bueno, como ven, sin más presentación que esta, porque muero por hacerla entrar al vivo, quiero contarles simplemente que Sadhvijii no habla español, así que voy a hacer una entrevista en inglés. Armé, diseñé unas preguntas que son como 10, 12 preguntas, pero va a depender del largo de sus respuestas, si me entran todas o no, pero me pareció prudente ordenar esta información y guiarnos por algunas preguntas, porque la temática de hoy es el amor, así que imagínense, si vamos a hablar del amor, nos vamos a perder en los confines de la sabiduría de Sadhvijii. Por lo tanto, creo que organizarnos para aprovechar el tiempo al máximo me pareció una buena idea. Entonces, sin más, si les parece, la voy a buscar y vamos a ver si la encuentro, porque sé que ya me mandó su invitación para darle entrada a este vivo. Gracias a todos los que se están sumando, gracias por acompañarnos. Ustedes no saben qué importante que es su presencia álmica, se expanda y se multiplique. Así que gracias por estar ahí, y ahora vamos a ver si con estas preguntas que le voy a ir haciendo a Sadhvijii, ahí está. Hey, how how are you? Thank you.
So wonderful, and so wonderful to be together. So
I'm
wonderful
so
to be together.
blessed. Thank you. Thank you to you. Thank you to Alicia for this opportunity. I'm really feeling blessed, grateful. My heart is almost exploding for having you here. And I'm honored to have been chosen to be the intermediary for your wise words. I'm sure that so many people will be touched by you.
I'm so happy to be with you. It's such a joy to join you and your whole community from here in the lap of the Himalayas.
Qué linda. Bueno, ella nos está diciendo que está muy contenta de estar aquí con nosotros. Insisto lo que les dije y creo que es importante lo que les vuelvo a aclarar. Las preguntas las voy a hacer en inglés y voy a hacer la traducción en español, pero todas sus respuestas van a estar subtituladas cuando yo suba este video a la red. Así que no se preocupen si ahora la van a escuchar en castellano, pero en inglés, pero me pareció que era importante que estén los subtítulos y no perder tiempo en la traducción. Los subtítulos nos agilizan la entrevista y nos permiten aprovechar más su presencia aquí. Okay, I was just saying that my questions will be placed in English. I will translate the question, but I will not translate your answer. I think Ali almost told you this already, because I think that your answers will be subtitled, and that way it will be much more dynamic, this interview. And I want to use every single second we have to share your wisdom and not waste it into my translation, which I think it's a waste of time right here when technology helps us so much with the subtitles and translations, okay? So is that all right with
beautiful.
you?
It's beautiful and perfect.
Great. Thank you. As is perfect, our encounter here, soul encounter with you and with so many that now and in the close future, near future, will enjoy this meeting with you. So, Sadhvijii, here we are gathered to talk about love as the spiritual path to spiritual growth. I mean, wow, it's love as a spiritual growth. What else, right? And so this is the first question we'll start with. And so extend yourself as wherever you want to go. What is love, and how would love define love from a spiritual perspective?
So beautiful. Love is the energy that makes everything happen. Love is the energy through which creation happens. Love is the energy if you watch a flower open its petals to the touch of the sun. It's love. You watch an apple tree get heavy with apples. It's love. You watch the sun rise and you watch the sun set. It's love. You feel it the moment you drop into connection with it. The felt sense experience is love. When we experience love, we experience the deepest truth of ourselves. And that is why being in love feels so good. It's why we love falling in love. It's why we love romance novels. It's why we love romantic movies. So we love when we're in love, but we even love watching other people be in love, because even just that slight vicarious ability to enter the stream of love begins to give us a glimpse of the truth of who we are, which is love. And so when we open our hearts in love, we are connecting into the deepest and truest aspect of ourselves. So when we close our heart, then, as tragically a lot of people end up doing, we cut ourselves off, not just from love, but we cut ourselves off from life. We cut ourselves off from ourselves. We cut ourselves off from spirit, from source. We cut ourselves off from everything. But there's a very, very beautiful song that we sing every evening here in the sacred Ganga Arati, the lighting ceremony that we do on the banks of the Ganga. And there's a line in it that says, Sabse unchi prem sagai. And it means the highest form of love is love for the divine. And it reminds us, yes, love everyone, love anyone, love anything and everything. And realize that the highest love is loving God, which doesn't mean, of course, that we can't or shouldn't love others. What it means is when we love others, to love the divine in them. Sadly, what most of us do is we tend to love each other's physical body. We love what it looks like. We love what it speaks to us. We love how it makes us feel. We love all of that. But if you're only loving someone's physical body, that's lust, whether it's sexual or not. If all I'm loving is your words, your actions, the way you look, the way you treat me, what you do, it's lust. It's just of the body. But if I'm loving you in the essence, you in content rather than form, then what I'm loving is soul, is spirit, which is divinity. The very core truth of who you are is divine. So when we love, we have to remember to love essence and content rather than just form. And that's the best love we can give others. And it's the best way that we can give ourselves to drop into that presence of the divine river of love.
Oh, wow. And I'm so into each word that you're saying, that I'm really like, exploding from happiness and from being blessed, really. I thank you so much for that answer. So beautiful, so full of love and compassion. Okay, so let's go to the second question. Exploring the distinction between transcendental love and interpersonal love. How does divine love differ from human love? Explorando la distinción entre el amor trascendental y el amor interpersonal. ¿Cómo difiere el amor divino del amor humano?
It's a beautiful question. And this is what I was just beginning to touch on earlier, is when I love a human being, this interpersonal love, if what I love is just their human body, it's lust. But through that human body, I can love God. Because the truth is, what we believe is that at the core, the essence of who we all are is divine. We believe in original divinity, that the very nature of each of us is the divine. And then what happens is we forget. We are this body, and then we start to suffer because we feel like we're not beautiful enough, or we're not rich enough, or we're not successful enough, or we're not smart enough, or popular enough, or whatever it is. When we go back to the truth of who we are, which is soul, which is spirit, that is one with the divine. So when you are loving an interpersonal person, if what you're loving in them is their essence, you're loving God. If you've loved somebody, imagine that you've loved somebody for 10 years, at least. If it's more than that, even easier. But imagine that you've loved someone for minimum 10 years. Their body has changed 100% in 10 years. Some of the body has changed many, 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 many times. Our skin cells keep regenerating. But even if you go inside into our internal organs, our liver, our kidneys, all of the organs, every 8-9 years, every cell of our body has regenerated and changed, which means the person you love at the end of 10 years does not share one physical cell with the person you loved at the beginning of 10 years. So what do you love? What is it you're loving then? Right? You're loving essence. You're loving soul. You're loving spirit. You're loving that which does not change. When you have a long-term relationship with someone, we realize that. I mean, we realize that we love them just as much when they wake up first thing in the morning and they're sick and they're exhausted and they're nauseous and vomiting or feverish or whatever it is, and they look awful, and we don't love them any less. Our love isn't based on, they go into the mirror, they have a shower, then they put on their makeup, then they get dressed. We don't love them more when they're showered and made up and have their nice clothes on than we do when they're sick in bed with a fever. Because it's not the body. We may appreciate their body. We may really, really, really think it's beautiful and celebrate it and honor it. We may really, really enjoy the way that their body makes our body feel. But the love is the love of who they are in the essence. And that means you're loving soul, which means you're loving God. So ultimately, our interpersonal relationships should actually be ways through which we love God in other ways. It's not, I love God only in my temple or my church or my synagogue, and then I love people outside. Ultimately, that God I connect with in my temple, in my church, in my synagogue, that God should be the one I connect with in everyone in my life, my interpersonal relationships, the trees that are growing, all of creation, because we see in the creation the beautiful creator we love.
Right. Sadhvijii, why do you think that in our modern times we're so attached to the physical looks, the stereotypes of eternal youth, and you have to be beautiful to be loved or to be attractive or to have someone next to you or someone interested in you? Why do you think we've got lost there?
Do you want to translate that in Spanish first?
¿Por qué nos hemos perdido en esta sociedad en buscar solamente lo que nos importa a nivel físico, la belleza física, el perseguir los estereotipos y la juventud eterna, el estar todo el tiempo pendientes si somos lindos o si somos feas, si somos atractivos o si nadie nos va a querer porque no somos perfectos? ¿Por qué estamos tan involucrados con buscar esta belleza y esta perfección externa y nos perdimos del mundo interior tan importante?
It's another really beautiful question. Honestly, I think a lot of it has to do with business. People have always loved beauty. You can go back thousands of years to our earliest pieces of artwork, sculpture, paintings, even, cave drawings. People have always loved beauty, but the beauty was always as it is. So if you look at Renaissance paintings, for example, they're not changing the way that people looked. What they're working with is how to use light, for example, to highlight somebody's beauty. They're not changing somebody. It's not that you
right.
are, like this, but they paint you like this. Or you're like this, but they paint you like this. Or you're like this, but they paint you like this. Exactly as you are, they were painting, but they were using artistic techniques to bring out the beauty of what we look like. But I think what has happened over time is business has come in. Beauty is a huge business. Anti-aging is a massive, massive industry. When I go back to Los Angeles, where I'm from, you drive through the streets of Los Angeles, through the streets of Beverly Hills, and every single shop, wherever you see, is anti-aging clinic, reverse aging this. And it's so tragic because the truth is, there's not a lot of non-negotiables in life, but aging is one of them. It is non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. It is one of the absolute guarantees of life. The only way you avoid aging is if you have the tragedy of dying very young. That is the only way to avoid aging, is you die very young, which obviously nobody wants to do. That's not a reasonable solution. It's not a desired solution. What we should aim for is to live every minute and every moment as healthy and as strong as we possibly can. But that has to do with our minds just as much as it has to do with our bodies. It has to do with clean air, clean water, clean food, exercise, love in our lives, spiritual connection, right? I mean, these are, and this is not just spirituality telling us. If you do research into what they consider, they talk about the blue zones, the places where people are living to be over 100 in the world. There's great research around it. Basically, it's very similar everywhere. They exercise a lot. They eat fresh food. They're not eating, food that was prepared sometime and it came to their house in a box or a can and then they stick it in a microwave. They're not eating like that. They're eating fresh food. They're living according to nature. So they're rising with the sun, they're sleeping with the sun. It's not societies that are, working till 3:00 in the morning on their devices. It's societies ranging from places all over the world. Modern ones, ancient ones, but the things they all have in common are what make people live longer. They're exercising, they're eating healthily, they're eating fresh, and they're having deep connections with family, connections with the community, and they're having a spiritual connection. People of all different religions, these blue zones again exist in different countries all over the world, but people are always having a deep connection with the divine, whatever that means to them. So it's amazing that these anti-aging clinics are all about, injections and chemicals and things like that. Nothing around connecting with the God, nothing around clean air and clean water, nothing around exercise, nothing around clean living. It's let me inject this poison into you. Let me, do this to you, do that to you. More synthetics, more artificial things. So it's a very, very tragic, in a way, situation that I'm seeing. And I think it really has to do with business. I think it's just that people in business have come up with and so they're going to come up with whatever serums and tonics and injections they need, and they're going to spend billions of dollars advertising it. And that is why, in response to your question, why we feel like we need to be more beautiful, because we are being programmed to believe that. Every TV commercial, every magazine ad, everything on social media is designed to make us hate the way we look, to make us ashamed of every wrinkle, of every gray hair, of every pimple. everything is designed for that. So that we feel ashamed when we look at ourselves. And therefore, the next thing you see is right after something to make you feel ashamed is something that says, click here, buy now. Instant youth, vitality, beauty, anti-aging. And so we become like these robots that just click here and buy now because we've been programmed to do so. And even if we don't buy their product, we buy their message, which is, you are not enough.
Exactly.
Those wrinkles, those gray hairs, those pimples, those extra pounds, that cellulite, that makes you unworthy of love. And what's so interesting is if you actually ask anybody who's been in a long-term, positive, healthy, meaningful relationship, do you even notice your loved one's wrinkles? Do you even notice your loved one's gray hair? I remember when I was in university, one of my friends was a bit heavy set. And at the time, I was struggling a lot with an eating disorder. And so I had a very, very intense and very negative relationship with my body and relationship with every pound and what I looked like. It was a matter of extra pounds mean I am bad, I'm unworthy. Fewer pounds mean I'm more worthy. The fewer pounds, the more worthy. And this good friend was, she was kind of heavy set, and she had this wonderful boyfriend. And she told me one day, I was saying something, and I was much, much, much thinner than she was. And I was saying something to her about feeling like I'd gained too much weight and I wasn't happy. And she said, you know what my boyfriend says to me when I gain a little bit of weight? She said, I was just saying to him recently, I think I've gained a little weight. And she said, you know what he said? He said, sometimes there's less, sometimes there's more, but it's always yummy.
Oh, so cute.
Now, right? Now, I mean, we were 19, 20 years old. And that's what you wanted to hear from your boyfriend, right? That it's yummy. But the point is, like, what a healthy and beautiful way for, he must have been, 2021, to say to his girlfriend and to really believe that. But as the last, 35 years of my life have gone by, what I've realized is he's not actually that unusual. It sounded crazy to me as a body obsessed 19-year-old. But now, as a 53-year-old who's seen the world, what I realize is that's actually the way that people in healthy relationships think. Whether you're 20 or whether you're 80, they don't care. A pound or two here or there, 10 pounds here or there. Nobody cares. All they care is you should be healthy and you should be happy and you should be vibrant. So if you're really looking for what you need, take a lesson from all of those in the relationships you want to have. Because obviously nobody wants anyway a relationship with someone who only likes their figure. Because we all know at some point in our life, it's going to go. Like somewhere between now and, 110, you're going to lose your figure. By God's grace, you should live that long. The only way to retain the figure is, again, you die early. So at some point between now and when, by God's grace, you have this long life, you're going to lose it. Do you really want your husband or your wife or your loved one when you're 80 to divorce you because you've lost your figure? I mean, could you imagine? So the last thing that we want is to be in relationship with someone who that's what they want from us. Could you imagine somebody divorcing you at 80 because your face has become full of wrinkles? You'd feel not only sad, but you'd feel betrayed and cheated. Like, oh my God, he was with me my whole life, you want someone who's going to love you through the wrinkles, through the gray hair, through the loss of your figure, who's going to be there to hold your hand and love you until the very end. So why would you start at 30 or 40 trying to attract someone who only wants you based on your looks? Because that's not the person you're going to want later in your life anyway. So why bother trying to attract them now?
Absolutely. Wow, so much wisdom. I thank you so much. I could just keep on listening to your wisdom for ages. And I thank you so much because as a psychologist, I see this all the time in consultation. People come with such deep suffering because they don't feel enough, because they don't feel they're pretty enough in order to attract those who are just looking for beauty. And telling them all the time that you are not your physical body, you are not your beauty, you are God in flesh. And please recognize who you are and only stop by those who really recognize who you are and see you, not see your forms, but your content, as you said. Thank you. That was a blessing listening to your answer, because this is happening all the time and I see it every minute of my professional life and social life. This is happening all the time. Women are really so concerned that men only look for young women in order to feel younger and to, it's like, okay, I want fresh food, I want fresh flesh, and you are too old. And so next, right? Let's go for the next one. And it's so sad to see the suffering of all over about all this that you've been talking about. And I thank you for so much clarity and wisdom. Okay, Sadhvijii, let's go to the next one. And if you've already answered some of these, just go shorter on the answer and we can go to the next one, because we're opening up all the subjects so much that maybe all these questions are already old. So let's see. We could think about love as a tool, a goal in spiritual growth, or a state of being. But from your spiritual perspective, what role does love play in a person's spiritual path? I mean, we've talked a lot about this, but maybe a concise question. Podríamos pensar que el amor como es una herramienta, un objetivo en el crecimiento espiritual o un estado del ser. Pero desde tu perspectiva espiritual, ¿qué papel juega el amor en el camino espiritual de una persona?
Love is a critical part of our spiritual path. We connect to God through love. In Sanskrit, it's called bhakti. Bhakti yoga. We connect to the divine through love. And it's an incredibly powerful way to connect. We then connect with ourselves, self-love. But it's not just love of my body, it's love of the truth of who I am. That's the love. And when you really love God, I have always been fascinated by the teaching that Jesus Christ gave when he said, love thy neighbor as thyself. Now, I was not raised Christian, and now I'm in a Hindu environment. I was raised in a Jewish family. Now I'm in a Hindu environment. But I've always been fascinated by that. And did Jesus ever tell us, like, what he meant by neighbor? Did he say everybody on your block? Did he say a 50-meter radius or a 100-meter radius? And everyone always said no. He never gave any distinctions on that way. And to me, what that means is, because of course we take the spoken word of the divine as truth. We don't assume that scripture was just vague or not fully correct. We assume it's fully correct. Meaning, the only way that I can understand that teaching, because if he did not tell us where to draw the line, it means you cannot draw that line anywhere. Because if you draw that line at 50 meters, what if he meant 100 meters? If you draw the line at 100 meters? What if he meant a kilometer? We have no way of knowing. So we cannot actually draw that line anywhere. And to me, what that means is the only way to do that is to love God and to realize that everyone is God. Because if you don't actually know everyone on your block or in your 1 kilometer radius or on this planet, because now we've said, okay, everybody is our neighbor. Well, you don't even know everybody. How can you possibly love them? It's an impossible command. And yet, it was spoken. It's scripture. It's the divine word. The only way to do it is love God and realize everyone is God. And that is exactly the same teaching that we have in Hinduism, is everyone is pervaded by the divine. So when you love the divine, when you love the creator, you automatically love the creation, because we are pervaded by that divinity.
Beautiful. Thank you. We are running out of time, my sweet Sadhvijii, and I know this is also tiring, and you've got so much work to do all over the day. So I will just place one more question and then the final message. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Perfect. Okay. Reflecting on education and the transmission of values, how do you believe we can teach the value of love to future generations in an increasingly divided world? Reflexionando sobre la educación y la transmisión de valores, ¿cómo crees que podremos enseñar el valor del amor a las futuras generaciones en un mundo cada vez más dividido?
Education is so important, but we need to demonstrate it. Children absorb what they see, not just what we tell them. And remember also, the home is the first school. So in our homes, but also in our schools, we need to make sure as parents, as teachers, as mentors, in the community, as the elders, that we are loving all. If we are telling our children, love all, but we are discriminating, they're going to pick that up. They're going to see that. If we tell our children, love all, and then they hear us yelling at the housekeeper, yelling at the gardener, yelling at the bus driver, yelling at some other staff member, they understand this teaching is not real. And then they don't absorb it. So actually, if we want to teach them to love all, we have to love all. And we have to enable them to see us loving all. And it means in the classroom, sure, some kids are going to be smarter than other kids. That's okay. But for teachers to ever make a child feel unworthy, stupid, ashamed, not only is the worst thing that they can do for that student, but what it teaches people in the class is it's okay to gang up on someone who's weak. It's okay to gang up on someone who's different than you are. So our schools must have absolute zero tolerance policies for any kind of bullying, for any kind of discrimination. Any club that there is on campus must be one that is open to all. To have any kind of club that doesn't allow certain types of people to come in, whether it's race, whether it's color, whether it's religion, whether it's gender, should be banned. We must demonstrate love and equality and unity and oneness. And you know, as parents, as we walk down the street and we walk past homeless people, what do we do? And what do our children see us doing? Do they see us turning the other way so we don't have to see it? Hardening ourselves? Well, then, yeah, what they learn is that's the way you do it. These are people to be ignored. Doesn't mean that you have to give money to everyone, but what it means is that you at least acknowledge them, Maybe when you come out of lunch with your children, you bring the extras or you buy an extra sandwich and you offer it to the homeless person outside. But we have to realize that we have to teach our children through our actions, not through our words. Whether we are parents or teachers or mentors or whoever we are, give them the words, sure, but it's the actions they're going to remember.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so sad that I have to come to the end of this beautiful meeting, soul encounter, as I say. And but well, this is time, and time always enslaves us into this time space reality, right? So I'd love to have from you some inspiring closing words for our listeners. So what final message would you like to give to those seeking to find and walk the path of love? Y lamentablemente hemos llegado al final y en los últimos minutos de este increíble y profundo encuentro del alma, así que me encantaría que nos regalaras unas palabras inspiradoras de cierre para nuestros oyentes. ¿Qué mensaje final te gustaría darles a aquellos que buscan encontrar y recorrer el camino del amor?
First of all, remember that love is in you. A lot of times we think that we have to feel love from other people. Somebody doesn't love us, we feel like we have lost love. Remember, the love manufacturing plant is inside of you. Yes, sure, sometimes other people will inspire us to turn on our love manufacturing plant. Sometimes someone else can be a catalyst to turn on that plant. But the love that we feel is being generated inside of us. So remember, whether someone loves you back or not, you have the ability to experience the height and the depth and the fullness of love because it is in you. And also remember that the more love you share, the more love you feel. And so if you want to walk the path of love, ask yourself every minute, every moment, how can I choose love in this moment? What would love do in this moment? Now remember also that love does not mean only for others and not the self, because a lot of times when we do that, then we forget self-love. And so we become someone who's just yes, 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 yes to everyone. And we forget that there's also this being over here who needs some compassion, who needs some downtime, who needs, a lot of things in his or her life as well. So when you love, remember to include yourself in that love, but share and spread love as much as you possibly can. And it doesn't mean that you have to do it through money. It doesn't mean that you have to start big organizations. It can be just smiling at somebody. It can be just taking someone who you know is lonely out for dinner. It can be going to an old age home and visiting elders who nobody comes to visit. It can be just letting it go when someone you love says something that's stupid and hurts you, but you know they love you and you know that they've just said it because they're struggling, they're stressed, they're upset. Let it go. Just let it go. Just respond in love in the moment. Show up with love. And what you'll find is the more you choose love, the more love chooses you, and the more love there is in your life.
That is so beautiful. Cuanto más amor elijas, más te elige el amor a vos. That is such a beautiful, some beautiful closing words. I thank you. Thank you is such a short word here to say for what you've shared with us, your wisdom. I think we've all feel blessed here for having you sharing your wisdom with us. And I thank you deeply from my heart and my soul for having taken this opportunity to share with us and all the Spanish-speaking community your wisdom. all I can say is thank you, and thank you, Alicia Gorbato, for this opportunity as well. And I really hope that our path will cross again someday, sometime. Thank you.
It's been such a joy to be with you, such a joy to be with your whole community. And it would be so beautiful for you to come here to Rishikesh, come here to the land of the lap of the Himalayas, the banks of Mother Ganga. Come here, be with us, bring your community, bring your friends. Parmarth Niketan, the ashram where we live, is open to everyone. And it would be so, so, so beautiful to host you here. So come home.
Thank you.
We'll also come and visit you. We're planning a beautiful journey to Latin America and other parts of the Spanish-speaking world. So then we'll come and visit you as well. And I know that our paths and our hearts will absolutely not just cross, but stay connected.
Wonderful, wonderful. And whenever you start your Hispanic tour, count on me. I can be your humble translator wherever you go, with lots of love and dedication. So that will be an honor for me as well. So count on me for whatever I can be of service to you and your community, and the community that is walking the path of love and the path of spiritual growth. Thank you again. Thank you. Gracias a todos ustedes por estar ahí, por haber compartido este espacio con nosotras y con todas las almas que conectaron hoy y que conectarán dentro de muy poquito, en algún momento de este tiempo-espacio 3D, pero que aquí estamos para abrir conciencia, para conectar con el corazón, con una divinidad encarnada, como lo somos todos, pero ella realmente la vive, la manifiesta y la pone al servicio de la humanidad todos los días de su vida. Así que gracias por haber compartido este espacio. Thank you, Sadhvijii. Gracias, Alicia, and we see you soon. Thank you.
Wonderful.